All right, so welcome to Unfiltered, episode 5 after Christmas here. We've got a new guest to our group here, Mr. Chris Berry, uh, who's going to come in here and teach us what we haven't been thinking about. So we're looking forward to adding another voice to the discussion here. So with that, Chris, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself as a NASCAR fan, and then we'll get started on this week's topic.
As far as a NASCAR fan, I even being from the West Coast, born and raised in Vegas, grew up around the Bush brothers a little bit at the racetrack. My dad used to race against their dad when we were little,
Oh,
and
okay.
then spent a lot of time. Almost every weekend, if we weren't running on asphalt, we at least had family somewhere that was running dirt in the surrounding areas, whether it's Lake Havasu, down in Bakersfield, Pahrump. We went up to a couple races in Ely when I was a kid, some races in Tonopah. But even though NASCAR really wasn't huge when I was a kid on the West Coast, as far as the couple races that we had in Phoenix and California until the Truck Series really came along, that was just something I was always raised around.
Okay. Like Blake, he's got his merchandise out on full display. I've got all mine, but I don't have anything with like a big door number like y'all. So I'm fairly confident who your driver is.
Yeah,
Brackets
yeah,
awesome.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. Although you know what, I am kind of glad to see Keselowski take that ride over and get that six back in victory lane. No, that's actually my wife's driver, so that's kind of a neat tie-in for me and her.
Yeah, same. That wasn't what I would have imagined, but seeing him get get Roush turned around and back in victory lane, back into the playoffs has been a nice, change for them, being that at one point in time, they had 5 cars in the playoffs. So in
Yep,
the old system. So it's nice to see
very first
back in the
playoffs,
discussion.
2004.
Yep.
Where was your first race, cup race, and who won?
First cup race I went to, I got tickets for the Xfinity races a few times when I was growing up. One of those was actually nice. That was the only race. Well, the only two races I ever saw Mark win were Xfinity races. But
Okay.
first cup race, of course, was Vegas.
Nice.
And it would have been Jeff Gordon that won.
Was that when they did the first race there?
No, Martin won,
Mark
actually won the inaugural race. That was one of the only races I didn't get to go to.
Okay.
Which kind of sucked. He run the inaugural race. That was the only one he ever won in Vegas, other than 2 Xfinity races. He won 2008, 2011 in the Xfinity series.
Okay. All right. Well, this week's topic is who we think is gonna, win their way through the schedule here. I've got the drivers lined up on the left of my spreadsheet. I've got broken down by team and then where they are, projected to go. There's a couple, we don't know what's going to happen with Rick Ware Racing. Not that I see them win anything, but we don't really know what's going to go with those seats. But the rest of them are pretty well set now at this point. And then the schedule, which is when I was typing it up, was actually, when I was going back through it, I wasn't very happy with it when it came out. But looking at it, they've actually done some really dynamic stuff. So we'll see what happens. But I included the non-point stuff, the duels and the clash. If we want to pick winners for that, duels I think are pretty hard, being that we don't know who's going to be in what based on the qualifiers. So,
Yeah, the duels about I did for the Clash and the All Star race, but I didn't
okay.
write down anything.
I didn't even think about the duels at all
All
for
right.
that
So
very, very
we can leave
reason.
the duels out of it then, because even though I put them in there, just because I went through the schedule, I'm like, I don't know how we would pick these because we don't know who's going to be in what qualifier races to know where. So, um, all right. So we'll go through one by one and uh, go work our way through. So first clash is going to be at Bowman Gray, kind of like the Coliseum. It's going to be a short, can't get away from each other, not very high horsepower, or you know, just a lot of running over each other. I don't know if you guys saw, but they've actually added like walls and everything, so it's not the open course that it was where you could just ride off into the grass. So there's
Well,
safety
if
barriers and the
you're in
whole
the
nine.
top three, if you're in the top three series, you have to have safer barriers. That's why
Yep.
they did that
Well, I mean, it's
per
good.
their guideline.
The thing that I think that's good about that is so it's going to be, it's going to be very congested. Where in the past you could bump somebody off and they go spinning off out into, the little bit of infield before you get to the stands. So with that, who wants to go first? Who do you think is going to win the clash?
I'm going with Joey Logano.
All right, you think Logano is going to win it there?
I think his North Wilkesboro test is still going to reign to help.
Okay.
his flat short tracks.
All right. So Blake says Logano. What are you thinking?
With the reputation it has, I'd say Austin Dillon with the way Richmond went last year, but no. Uh, Unfortunately, I picked Hamlin on that one. I don't think
Okay.
Blake's necessarily too far off with Logano. Logano always, especially at tracks that we're going to for the first time, he seems to be the king of that. I mean, Mark Martin did it for a while. Gordon did it for a while, going to new inaugural races, and then Logano seems to be the one as of late that's taken over for the races as far as inaugural races being, other than of course Larson when they went back to North Wilkesboro.
Okay. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, unfortunately, I took Hamlin.
I went with Kyle Busch because he ran top 3 in both of the class races, or all the class races we had out there. Each time
Yeah, he did,
nearly
didn't he?
won it. You know, he ran well every time, and I think this is going to be a similar feel. It's going to be colder though, so maybe that'll be different. But he just seems to do well on those short tracks, just like he did for Richmond. So I'm thinking, they were making gains last year, like we saw with Dylan on the short track program. I'm thinking they're going to come out of the box, especially since they hired a lot of the people from SHR. I'm hoping they come out of the box strong. So I'm gonna go with Mr. Bush, the prior Candy Man.
Yeah, I actually like that pick.
That's a really good pick.
All right, so that brings us to our first draft and track of the year, Daytona 500. Anybody can win that race. Hopefully they fixed the draft and pack, but who do we think takes that? I think it's going to be a Ford more than likely, but they just seem to be very strong at the drafting, unless they screw themselves.
I'm going with that right there.
All right, Brad K. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you,
Why?
Blake?
Why am I going? Well, for one, I think as much as they make a story out of it with Kyle Busch, I really think, especially when it comes to just the drafting tracks, Keselowski's overdue, especially for a 500.
Okay. What about you, Blake? What do you think?
I thought about this long and hard, and I think the misery is time to be over. I think Larson wins Daytona 500.
Okay. That's
He's shown
interesting.
improvement. He's shown improvement on plate tracks. His luck is finally turning. Um, I don't know. I was thinking about it for a couple of nights since we decided to do this topic, and I'm like, I don't know. I just had this feeling he's due. He's had so much bad luck in the 500 and really any plate track. I think it's time for it to turn.
Okay. I'm sticking with Kyle Busch on this one. He should have won it 2 years ago. He's been close to getting it done since he's gone to RCR. He's had really strong cars at the plate tracks, regardless of the improvements they made last year. So I just think he's going to check this one off his list, and that'll give him all the crown jewels.
Well, it sounds like Kyle Busch is going to run the season for you.
No. This is just not any close, not even close. No, I don't have that kind of faith in RCR just yet. Not that they can't get there. I mean, they hired a lot of good people, but I just don't think so.
Who's going to win Atlanta, Alan?
Yep. So Atlanta won. I think Blaney.
A good one.
I think YRB is going to take Atlanta.
He went the same place I went.
Well, I'm going to be different on this.
Okay.
I think Todd Gilliland gets his first win.
Okay. That's a bold one right there. But I mean, he led a lot of laps in the plate stuff last year. If you were watching,
he switched to the 34, which is the number one car for front row, and I mean, he did run up front every plate. I'm sorry, drafting track.
Yeah.
This past year, and I just think that he's shown growth, and I think it's just I'll probably be wrong, but that's just who I think will pull it out.
What about you, Chris? You sticking with Kyle Busch there, or are you going?
Well, at Atlanta? No, I went same as you, Blaney.
Or Blaney? I mean, yeah.
I am confused on his pick though. I don't understand the switch from the 38 to the 34. Todd's always been in the 38, so why is it switched now?
That one either.
And even when
there's been rumors of a number change for the other car and the car that hasn't been numbered yet. There's been teams asking for the 18. There's rumors that the 19 is switching to 18 or 54 to 18.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to get uh different numbers involved. So 34 has been their number
34,
one
36,
car.
and 38 was always their numbers.
Yeah.
Right, but 34 has been their number one car. It's the car that's won all the races. So he's been there the longest. I think Loves likes him, so they just threw him over there.
Yeah.
Okay. So after that comes Vegas. Or no, yeah. Sorry. Daytona, Atlanta. Actually, we go to Coda next.
Coda, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Coda's third race.
Yeah, Coda is
Yeah.
the third race. I'm used to Vegas being the third race just naturally,
Mm.
but yeah, Coda is the third race. So we're going to our first
Wow.
road course. Who do you think? Because don't forget, Allmendinger and Van Giersbergen are full-time Cup guys now. Again.
Right.
So in addition to our usual road regulars.
With that one, I'm not even going to go with any of the road course guys. I don't see with the fall off that Colleague had last year. I don't see the bringing Allmendinger back doesn't make sense for me. I on for either one of those drivers, but and I'll be honest, I don't have Allmendinger on any of the road courses this year.
Nope.
But I went with Reddick for the first Coda race.
Okay.
Don't forget this track. This is the short course, is not the long course.
I know, but I went with Reddick for that first road course.
What about you, Blake?
It was hard for me. I mean, Christopher Bell's shown strength everywhere on all the road courses. Larson's tough on all the road courses. Bowman is tough, and I'm leaning Bowman on this one.
Okay. So you think Bowman's going to win Coda. All right. I'm thinking Michael McDowell and his fresh new Spire ride with his HMS affiliation is going to be on point. I think he's going to be good. He's going to be in basically Hendrick equipment because they've got that alliance. And he won with an underfunded Ford team and just straight spanked him at Indy 2 years ago.
Right.
So we know he was a road racer before, like he was actually in, IMSA and sports cars. So I really believe he's going to now show us what he can really do with well-funded equipment. And they got Rodney Childers and Matt McCall, and they hired a bunch of people from RFK and SHR. So now that they're defunct, so I'm thinking Michael McDowell comes out of the box strong when we get to it.
It's a good one.
All right, so that brings us to our first smaller track, Phoenix. Is there any reason to think a Penske car doesn't win it again based off how we ended the season?
No, and I actually went with how the season ended.
So you think Logano's going to win it, or you think Blaney's going to?
I think Logano they'll carry that same momentum that they had at the end of the year. I mean, it not much of a time to really lose it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe.
Okay.
The 19 always ran well there. Got his first win there. I think it's just going to mesh together, and Chase Briscoe will get his first win with Gibbs, whether it be the 18 or the 19 or whatever number they use.
All right. I mean, they made some moves over there in JGR, so we'll find out if those moves did them any good because they were struggling last year toward the end. Even though Bell ran well, they didn't click off a win since the early summer. So that's a bold one. You're expecting them to win, and they haven't won since. It'll basically be almost 12 months at that point.
Well, we agreed on a prior episode that Truex had checked out already.
Oh yeah, so I think that Truex's crew chief is with having a stable driver that's committed to be in there long term is going to benefit him. Yeah. So we're going to find out really whether or not James Small, the protege of what's his name, Cole Pern, is really as good or bad as we think he is real quick, because he's going to have somebody who's there at the meetings, not at the fishing track hole.
We'll know within the first 10 races for sure.
Yep. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. I think he's going to finish. He hasn't finished outside the top 5 there since they went to this car, and he was even running well there beforehand. So I think he's going to get one spot better, and he's going to win Phoenix.
Not a bad call.
No, they've just whatever he's found since he started. The last 2 years, he's come into his own, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. So now I think we get to. I'll call mine first. I think this is where Larson gets his first win of the year at Vegas. That's our next track because now we're more into what is HMS's bucket of specialty and strength as of late as the mile and a half. So I don't see any reason to think he won't win Vegas. Who wants to
I
go?
wanted to pick him, but it's going to be Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has finished second. I know 2 out of the last 3, maybe 3 out of the last 3, and he's
Okay.
been right there. He should have won the fall race. It's just Logano outsmarted everybody,
Yep.
and he was right on Larson's ass in
Yep.
uh, last year for the playoff race. So I just I think that team's got that track locked up just like Larson does, but I just think it's Bell's time to win Vegas.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
I had Larson on that one as well.
Okay. All right.
It's been hard to count Bell out on quite a few of these races, but yeah,
Yep.
I don't have Bell until a little later on.
Yeah, they don't
Trust me, I
seem.
could pick Larson for all these, but
Yep.
it's I don't want to get overzealous.
All right. So if you didn't take Larson to win Vegas, surely Blake, you took Larson to win the next race at Homestead.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
no doubt. As long as they don't have a tire failure or some stupid like that happened in the playoff race,
Yeah.
Larson spanks them. He
Okay.
probably if he finishes second at Vegas and wins Homestead for a
What about
second
you,
win of the
Chris?
year within mine.
What are you thinking?
Or on mine,
Mm-hmm.
I got Larson back to back.
Okay. Yep. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking he's going to go back to back there, get his first 2 wins back to back, cement his spot in the playoffs right out of the gate. Uh, you know, granted, Blaney was one move away from winning it, but they don't seem to come on until later in the year, even though I've got him picked for a couple races. They're not the races that Penske usually starts off strong. So, they're not the what we would call like the majority of the schedule, the bread and butter. So
Yeah.
all right. So after Miami comes Darlington. It's hard not to pick Larson again.
I'll be there. I don't know which one of you guys are going with me yet, but I'll be there at the throwback weekend.
All right.
After Homestead isn't that it's Martinsville, not Darlington, isn't it?
Do I have them backwards?
I think so.
Okay.
What date? Do you have the dates or do you just put them
I
down?
just went off the tracks in the schedule order, but I might have them backwards. It might be Martinsville, then Darlington, then Bristol.
Yeah, I had it Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol.
Okay. All right. So let me fix that. All right. So Martinsville. Who's going to take that? It's going to be cold. It's not going to be super cold, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah, it was hard not to go 3 in a row on that one.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I went with Byron on that. As much as I don't like him, I went with Byron on this one.
Same. He's won the spring race there
My
quite a few
stomach right
times.
now. Gross. Um,
We
I
both
don't know what
feel
y'all
the
are
same way.
thinking. I mean, Ryan Blaney, if he brings the same setup back and they bring the same tire, even worse or a better tire that falls off more, it's Ryan Blaney's going to spank him again.
All right. So you
So
think it's
Ryan
going to be
Blaney,
RYB is going to win?
Well,
oh, yeah.
I thought that too. Other than I took into account what Alan's saying, but I do think even with that tire, temperature will make a difference. So I don't know that same setup will work though.
Yeah, I think that the temperature plays a big. We saw it with Bristol Spring versus Bristol Fall. Even though they said and we don't know if they actually figured it out or not, but they said the tire was the same, and it did 2 totally different things. So I'm very hesitant to think
Well,
the
this is a
tire's going to
totally
fall
different
off that
compound.
way with a colder temp.
This is a totally different compound than what they run at Bristol, though. So
Yeah, I'm just saying, we've got a colder track. The tires have obviously had a much different reaction in the cold weather versus the hot.
yeah,
Um,
I think Ryan has that track just figured out, and
It's not a bad pick by any
Yeah.
means.
No.
All right. So now Darlington.
Who did you? Who? Oh, you picked William Byron as well.
Yeah, I think Byron because he's won the spring race. You know, he won it for the 40th. Sadly for us that wanted it to be somebody else within the HMS camp. And then even though it was the best looking car in red, it was not the guy I wanted behind the wheel to win it. I wanted Larson or Bowman, anybody but Byron.
Yep.
But so with Darlington, are you going back to Larson? You think Larson gets his third win of the season there, Blake? Or
Uh, yeah. I um I just I'm gonna be there, so he's gonna win, right?
okay, all right,
He's gonna go back to back for me. But I just he runs so strong there every time.
yep,
The only times he gets taken out is when he screws up and goes in the wall and uh blows an engine. I mean, every other time he is up front, top three. He should have won the Southern 500 again, but that late race restart, he got snookered and couldn't get it back. So I just don't see how anybody beats him. It's his style track, and I don't see anybody that's better than him there.
okay. What about you, Chris?
I had the same way.
All right,
Even looking back when he was driving at Ganassi, I mean, he's always been fast there. I mean, it's hard to go against him.
yep,
Yep.
I agree, but on this one, I took a chance. I think this is where Denny Hamlin and his new crew chief will have figured out or start to get to their stride. And he's won at Darlington several times, always win. You know, he's got several Southern 500s under his belt. He's run there really well almost every time, and he's won a bunch there in Xfinity. So I have a feeling this is where the new crew chief combination, we're enough, we're basically at this point a quarter of the way through the season at that point. If they haven't figured it out by then and he's not running in contention for the win, they got problems. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'm not hoping for a Hamlin win, but I just think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, that's bold.
So, but I don't expect anything much from them before then. And then our next race is Bristol in the fall, and I will say I also took
Bristol in the
Hamlin there
spring.
or spring. I mean, if he doesn't win at Darlington, I think he most certainly wins. Especially if the tire and the temperature work like they did last time, he most certainly wins Bristol in the spring. What
About
about
you,
you?
Chris?
Yeah, I had a little bit of the same thought process. Other than I don't see Hamlin winning Darlington. I think they end up with a good run at Darlington, but that carries over and gets him the win in Bristol.
Okay.
So you got Hamlin at Bristol. You both have Hamlin at Bristol.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about you? You think Larson's going to win Bristol too?
It's hard to pick against them because of what happened in the fall. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to do a different tire, and for that reason, I don't want to pick them. I think Christopher Bell has gotten really strong there, but I'm going to go with Ty Gibbs.
Okay. You think Ty Gibbs
He
is
has
going to get his first
shown,
career win at Bristol? Okay.
yes, he has shown so much change there. I don't think he ran the greatest in the fall, but I think last spring he did really well, and then
Oh, I
the
think he
year
had the best
before he
car
was
in the
weird.
spring. He just
Yep,
didn't have the patience.
yep. So I think if it's not Larson, it's definitely going to be uh,
Mr.
Mr.
Gibbs.
Gibbs.
All right. All right. So leaving Bristol, we're back to a drafting track, Talladega.
I'm
What
going
do
to
you
get my trash bag and throw up in.
think? This is where all your good mojo goes in the trash can for
Yeah.
Larson.
Uh, I I think you got to go with Logano here.
Okay.
Uh, he's always so aggressive. He's always in the top five unless he gets wrecked out. Just he
Okay.
is he is the draft king right now, in my opinion. It's either him or Brad that's always just
Okay.
amazes me how they move through the field. YRB was on the list too, but I'm going with Logano.
All right. What about you, Chris?
Other than Atlanta, I'm going back to back RFK, but put a 1 in front of it.
Okay. So you're gonna say
Busher.
Busher's going to get it done. See, that's the direction I was
That's
leaning. I was thinking
that's a
this is where
that's a
Busher's
one
going to get
seven,
it
not
done.
a six, buddy.
Or yeah, 1-7. Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I was thinking. I was like, not that I don't think Brad will get it.
Albaniger's gonna win. Wow.
Yeah.
Ascension, but I think Busher's going to, last year things didn't quite go their way to get the wins when they needed to early. I think they're going to come out of the box hot. So, all right. Our
Who
one
did you
time
take there?
Texas. What's that?
Who did you take there?
I was like Chris. I went with Mr. Busher.
Oh, you both
Christopher
had Busher.
Boucher.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yep. I mean, he and Brad have run well at all these drafting tracks together. I don't see them not still. Basically since they became RFK, they have run stout at the drafting tracks. I mean, they won the duels in their opening season as RFK together. Each one of them took them, so I'm fairly confident that he's going to get a win there in a drafting track for sure.
Okay.
So that brings us to our one race at Texas in an oval. What do we think?
Kyle Larson, hands
Larson?
down.
Okay.
He should have won last year. Uh, was he had a tire fall off and
Okay.
never made it back to the front.
All right.
I don't know why, but this one, out of all the races that you can go back in the tracks that he has run well at, and that he's won at, for whatever reason, Texas on this one, all I could think was Bowman.
Okay. All right. I had an HMS
Oh.
driver as well, but not Bowman.
Yeah.
I had Chase Elliott. I just think he's gonna, he got his first
Back to back, huh?
Xfinity win there. I think he's gonna think that'll be his first win of the season is at Texas. Him and Alan
So you're going
Gustafson.
back to Texas.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think he'll run well there. Now at this point, we're off and into the early summer. Everything's hot. We're heading into Memorial Day. Everything being hot, heating up for our first race at Kansas. So we know the tires are going to wear. I don't see how we pick against personally against Larson. I don't know how you don't pick Larson, but because he's my pick.
I think we probably went across the board on that one.
Yeah, I almost picked Chastain, but same. I mean, Monahas, it's his bread and butter, and
I just feel like it's positioned perfectly in the schedule where the tires now will be wearing at the optimal rate because the temperatures will be in the the 80s, 90s. Won't be in the super hot, but we'll be in that Memorial Day first summer heat.
and
So
not to mention this is going to be his 5th year with Cliff Daniels, and all they've been doing is getting better and better. I mean, I don't see how they're going. I don't think they're going to lose any speed on the mile and a half. It's just not going to happen.
all right. So who do we think is going to win the Open? Because now we're into All-Star weekend. So who's not a winner already and in your list or a winner from last year that you think is going to make it into the Open? From the Open to the All-Star, I mean, and get it done.
That's hard to say with not knowing who's going to really win by then, but
I think Carson Hocevar is going to win the Open.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
He's been
there's going to be
been stupid fast at a
there's
lot of
usually
places.
2 transfers. Are you talking about winning it or who transfers?
I'm just talking straight up winning the Open race. I think he's going to straight up win it.
Isn't it 3 transfers?
It depends on how many people are in the All-Star race already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4. It just
we don't really know. I'm just going with the winner.
They like to have a
because we don't know
24
what'll happen
car
rules wise this year yet.
So
So
I can go with Carson as well, not knowing who's going to win or not win by then.
I just think his cars at Spire showed a lot of speed, and they're only getting more talented people over there. And
But
he'll have a full year under his belt now from his rookie
it
season.
could very well be Justin Haley as well
It could be
because he's got Rodney Childers.
Well, he does have Rodney
We
Childers.
haven't thought about yet.
What gives me the edge? I wanted to go with Haley. What gives me the edge for Hocevar in my mind is Hocevar had all year with this crew chief and put up those results. Haley hasn't had. Haley's getting another crew chief, and he just barely got any time in that seat with a new team. I'm not sure that he and Rodney is not going to be like Harvick and Rodney. He doesn't have the wealth of
Yeah.
experience Harvick does to build on. So I'm not sure they're going to come out of the box as strong. He could very well do it. Rodney could give him a rocket ship. I just don't have that kind of faith in Haley.
Other than Blake picking Gibbs to win early in the season, that I think he's gonna go back to back and do it just like he did last year.
Win the
Gibbs will
Open.
win his way in. Yep.
Okay. You know what? I didn't even think about that. That he wouldn't have already have a spot in there. I just see him winning before we get.
He's just so damn fast. But I like I
Yeah.
said, I don't necessarily see him coming out at the beginning of this season yet with a win. But I think that's a place that may
Well,
change something for him.
I changed my mind. I'm not going with Husqvarna. I'm going with Noah Gragson.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's a good pick too. All right. So Gregson's going to win in the
In
Open.
the 28 car.
Yep. Okay.
I'm hoping. I doubt it. Being
All
silly.
right. All right. So who wins the All Star?
Whoever gets a test there.
I was gonna say I put down. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I put down Logano just with the way that they run at
Same.
Phoenix, the way that they've just run a lot of the short tracks in general. It's hard to go against him. I mean, we all know what Larson did the inaugural season, but with the repave, I think it hands it right back to Penske.
Well, I want to go with Larson because only if now this is only if he gets back in time to qualify because he'll be in Indy. If he gets back and gets to qualify and start where he qualifies,
Yeah.
I can see Larson winning. But if not, I gotta go with YRB.
Okay. So which one do you want me to put down? Larson or YRB?
Well, I can't say. I gotta just say YRB because I got a feeling
Okay.
Larson ain't gonna be back from Indy. He
All
wasn't
right.
back this year, and he was because he was
All
he
right. So
qualified the
Blaney's going to
top
get the
six.
All Star. Okay. All right. So that moves us on to the Coke 600. Assuming again Larson gets back in time and get in the car. Mother
Well,
Nature
he will
allowed it.
because they have guaranteed that is their priority.
Okay. All right.
So if the Indy 500 starts on time, he will get back on time and all that crap. So I'm going with Larson.
All right. So Larson's
If
going to
he,
win the 600. What
yeah,
about you, Chris?
he's gonna win. He's gonna win the 600. And he's gonna run top three in the Indy 500.
Yeah, that's about the same thing I was thinking too.
Okay.
I think both races will run, and yeah, I think if at very least the top five he should have had this last year is what he'll get this year in
Yep.
Indy, and he'll win the 600.
We all are in agreement. That's who I had winning it as well. I figured, if he doesn't make that pit road mistake this year, he finishes top five easily at Indy. And, weather permitting, maybe if they had been able to get in the car. I mean, I think he definitely had a car that could have won it last year, and Justin kept it out of trouble and in contention, where if he had gotten in it, he definitely would have been in the discussion. But
And I think there was only 18 cars on lead lap when
yeah,
that red came out. So Larson would have started 18th, tail end of the pack. But
with the ability to pit and get fresh tires and the whole nine.
yeah,
So,
so
yep. Nope. But that one, we all agree that Larson's going to do something phenomenal
he can
and
start
he's going to
last
win the
and come
600.
to the field.
Okay. All right. So Nashville concrete. What do we think?
This is going to be my bell breakout.
Okay. This is where Christopher Bell breaks out. He gets Nashville. All right. What about you, Blake?
I need a second. I want to hear yours first.
All right. I think this is where Ross Chastain gets it.
Yeah. He does run very well there.
Yep.
He won there 2 years ago. I think I'm trying to think back who I mean Larson runs great there, but I don't think he'll win it. Uh, I want to put Chase Elliott down
Okay.
because he
I think
does
that's a good
run
pick.
well at
If they bring
concrete
a
track.
softer tire, I think we're going to have an even better race than we've had there before.
Yeah.
We
And
haven't had
if they
bad
put
ones.
the resin down like they did the first year, I think it was the first or second year, it ran real good multiple grooves and Chase is it has been very consistent the last year and a half. So
Okay. All right. So now we're into the manufacturer's backyard, Michigan. This is a big one. I'm going with Brad Keselowski because he puts a lot of emphasis on this. He loves being, as a Ford guy, Detroit, being from there. Like that's his big. He puts that, I think, up there with the Daytona 500 in importance. So I'm thinking Brad's going to win Michigan.
Unfortunately, I went with Byron again on this one.
Okay.
As much as I would love to see Brad finally get that win in Michigan because that's his home track. Yeah. That's another one that, yeah.
I think Tyler Reddick's going back to back.
Okay. My only reason for not picking any of the 2311 drivers is I'm really thinking, we've seen what the lawsuit did to the end of the season. Well, now they're having to fight over the are we chartered, not chartered, and they're starting a third team. I'm very curious just to see how this team runs if they take a dip in performance, stay even, or creep up a little bit.
I don't think the team's going to have a dip. I think Denny's going to have a dip
Okay.
within himself. Uh,
Could be.
Depending on like right now, they had a win. They're going to be a charter team this year, so that's a win. But obviously, he's still going to be on. It's still going to be in his mind about whether or not they win the suit. So I think it's going to hurt Denny, not the team.
Okay. All right. What about you, Chris? You said Byron.
Yeah,
So who are you
Byron.
going with, Blake? I said Brad.
I said Reddick.
Oh, that's right. You said right. Okay. I think I got everybody. I just want to make sure I got them all. Yep. Okay. All right. Now we're going south of the border, Mexico City. Anybody want to bet against Daniel Suarez having like a bigger motor than everybody else?
If he
Yeah,
wins that
I don't
race,
think he'll have.
oh my god!
I don't think he'll have a bigger motor, but you can't. You also can't take the experience away he's got on that track.
Yeah.
Yep, he's got more experience on that track than anybody. I don't know if Van Gisbergen has had laps on that track. I don't think so, but I'm going with Van Gisbergen.
Okay. So you think Van Gisbergen's going to win Mexico?
It is
What
a
about
very
you?
technical track. Juan
Yeah.
Pablo Montoya won there his first race in an Xfinity car, and he did it going away, and it showed his experience mattered. So using that knowledge, Van Gisbergen is going to kick their ass, in my opinion.
I think that's probably a very good bet, honestly. I just think, honestly, if anything, it's either going to work one of two ways, in my opinion, for Suarez. Either he's going to be so motivated because he's in front of, his hometown, home country track and crowd, and it's either going to make him rise to the occasion or he's going to step on his foot
I
and
think
make
he's
a
going to step
mistake
on
and
his
take
foot.
himself out.
He's going to be very anxious and going
I
to
mean, he's literally
overdrive it.
got Pitbull, the Latin American owner. He is the Latin American driver for NASCAR. He's going to be like the sole focus of attention. This is going to be like his Daytona 500 and Indy
Yep.
500 all in one.
So who are you picking?
Oh, I went with Suarez. I think Suarez is going to
Okay.
win. I think he's going to rise to
Okay.
the occasion. Yep.
I went with Suarez too, just for the simple fact that I kind of get where Blake's talking. Other than Suarez has been around long enough now that I think he's got enough experience to not step on his dick. I mean, for lack
Yep.
of a better term, I think
Well, only Larson does that.
Because the
yeah.
hung money.
Hug money.
Well, I wanted, I was picking Daniel because, like you said, the experience, but also, he won Sonoma in the
Yeah.
spring, not last year, but the year before. He does road race very well, and he's run well at Coda. He's run well at the Roval. He's not a
Well,
slouch at these road courses.
I mean,
It's
for as
been since
long as
22 since he won a road race.
Yeah,
He Truex won the year before.
yeah. So I just think he's, again, I think that hometown momentum is going to make him rise to the occasion. If anything, I bet you all winter he's in the simulator working on this track more than any other.
But that might hurt him because the simulator might be totally
You,
different.
you're not wrong. I'm just saying I think for him it's probably like how teams build their 500 car. for him,
Yep,
this
he's
is
gonna
his
build his
500
Mexico
race.
car.
Like he probably is preparing for this more than like a championship race
Yep,
in my mind.
I agree.
Yeah.
And if he's not, then
Sonoma now, right?
yep. All right. So from there, from Mexico, we go back to the mountains and we head to Pocono.
Oh,
Who we
okay.
thinking wins there?
When is Sonoma? Did Sonoma already
Sonoma's
happen?
way later. Sonoma's
We
after
still got 3
Chicago.
races before we get to Sonoma.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
So we're going to Pocono.
Yep. Up in the mountains. We've seen Hamlin, Chastain, Byron, and who else? And Larson all battle for it in the last handful of years, or Harvick. So
I think it's going to be. I think he's going to go back to where he got his first win, and it'll be Blaney.
okay. All right. I think that's a good pick.
Has Blaney ran there good there lately though? I haven't. I don't think he's really been that strong at Pocono since then though, that I can recall. Just talking out loud there.
He's had some decent runs, but they've definitely they've had if I'm not mistaken, they had a couple problems on pit road.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going with Hamlin. I was there when he won back to back and spun the damn car out and came back and won the race. Like he just that place kind of like Richmond to him. He just in Bristol, he's got a feel for that place. It seems like with this car, with the other car, just no matter what car we take there, he just always seems to run well there. So I'm going to say Hamlin wins Pocono.
Larson
Larson, okay.
finally wins Pocono after numerous times being in the lead late. Especially, he was about to win 4 in a row in 21 and cut a tire, and then
Yep.
Denny Hamlin decided to run into the wall. He's had many chances to win there. I think he finally gets it.
All right.
You might take a look at last year's schedule though, Blake, and look at the winner for Pocono last year. It was Blaney.
Yeah.
Was he? Yeah, but wasn't
I
there
mean,
some circumstantial
I mean, the
crap going
track
on
is so
that?
big, like a Michigan, where horsepower and downforce with these new, especially the new Ford, like now that they've got it figured out, it's hard to bet against him. I just think for
Yeah,
Hamlin, because he has a feel, I don't think
Wasn't
it matters to
wasn't
crew
that a
chief.
fuel mileage race?
Pocono can turn into a fuel mileage
I
race
know, but
depending on how they run it.
I'm trying to remember. There was some sort of circumstance that happened last year
yeah.
in that race. I
I
just
think
can't
there was a
remember
little
what it
strategy went into it, but yeah.
was.
But you still have to put yourself in position to make that strategy work
Yeah,
too.
you're right. You're right. I don't remember him winning that, obviously.
I
So
know.
we
I
get
just
back to our second Atlanta race, and now it's hotter than the blazes of hell in Atlanta in right before July 4th. I think tires, this place is going to be greasy and fast. I think it's going to run kind of like the old Daytona
I was
prior
about to
to the
say that.
repave and going to be really about a handling track. So if they spread out like I think they do, um, I'm a toss up between three guys. You know, your three best plate racers out there. You know, I'm trying to decide whether it's going to be Brad, Joey, or Denny that's going to win this.
I'm
And
with
Ryan's
Brad.
there. You know, Ryan's right there with him. But in terms of like on a hot, greasy track, I think those three are probably the best when it comes to it.
I'm going with Brad.
Okay, Blake's gonna go with Brad.
actually went with Kyle Busch on this one
Oh, interesting. Okay.
because even though that team hasn't showed a lot of speed,
Yeah.
he's one that always ran well when the track was slick and greasy. I mean,
Yep.
never ended up getting the win. The wins most of the time, just like we've watched with Larson's got taken out of so many of the drafting races. But yeah, I have a Kyle Busch pulling this one out.
All right. So who do I want to stick with? I think when it comes to handling and drafting, I'm gonna go with Brad. I'm gonna go with Brad over Denny. I think the Fords are stronger than the Toyotas, so
Yep.
I'm gonna give it to Brad just because he's got a little bit more consistency. But he's also getting a new crew chief, so who the hell knows?
Yeah.
See, I had a little bit of that thought process too. Is the fact that the Fords or even the Chevys seem to be faster than the Toyotas by far.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of a stretch on that one. Even though I don't necessarily personally like Kyle Busch, but I like Kyle Busch at that track because the Fords usually tend to be their own worst enemy too. And how many times have you seen
Yeah,
2, 3, 4 Fords take each other out of the front of the field?
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Chicago street race, hot, assuming it doesn't rain. I don't know why I'm not going to bet against SVG. I think he's
Yeah.
going to get it done.
SVG is going to whoop them.
And hopefully, this is also the last time we run this damn thing.
Yep.
And then we go to, like I said, I'd like to see a Vegas street race at night or something along those lines. So you think, Blake,
The
you
only
think
problem with
SVG
that,
also?
the only problem, Vegas Cup is never going to run Vegas street course because they cannot, they will not run a race that starts at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
They're not going to. They're 11 p.m. Eastern. What is that? What was it? 8.
Yeah.
It
It's
starts at 8. Yeah, it's just.
3 hours. No. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
is
3
that when
hours.
the F1
Yeah.
race started? Chris, was it 8 o'clock your time?
Honestly, I don't remember. I didn't even watch, so I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it started 11 my time, which is just ridiculous.
Yep. So what do you think, Chris? Who's going to take Chicago?
I'm actually going to do a bold prediction on this one, and even he's going to go back to back. As a rookie, I think he'll get his first 2 wins back to back, being an actual rookie. He's going to go Chicago, Sonoma back to back.
So who's getting it?
SVG.
SVG is going to get
He
Chicago
bled
and
into the
Sonoma.
next race.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What do you
And you
think?
had
'Cause
SVG,
Sonoma
so we
goes right
swept it.
after. So you think
We
he's going to?
swept SVG on Chicago there, right?
Yep. Yep. You had
Yep.
him for Chicago. You think he's going to be? You think like Chris, he's going to win Sonoma too?
No.
Okay. Who's
I
going to win
don't.
Sonoma, Blake?
Larson's going to win Sonoma again. He's just so good there. I just don't see anybody beating him there.
Right.
What if the car is dialed in like this last year? It's going to be Larson again.
Who'd you say was going to win? You said Larson was going to win the 600. You said he was going to win Michigan too, right?
No, I said
Nashville.
Nashville was Chase Elliott.
Who'd you say? All right. So here's the. I wrote in his name for a win instead. Did you say he's going to win the All Star? Is that what it was?
I said he'd win the All Star if he got to do his qualifying. I said
But he
YRB
picked,
would win it.
yeah, Blaney.
Kansas. I had him down for something else. You had him for 500, Miami, Darlington, Texas, Kansas, 600, and now Sonoma. But I feel like you had him for something else too.
I had him for Pocono.
That's what it is. Instead of typing in the racetrack, I typed in his name. All right.
It's wonderful.
So Sonoma, who'd you have for Sonoma? Sorry.
Larson.
You had Larson. Never mind. That's right. Sonoma. This is hard.
Greasy, hot, slick, banking, or you got your terrain going up and down. Just repave.
I forgot about the repay part. I'm gonna go with SVG. He wasn't my initial choice, but I don't know. Just a feeling.
I just don't think that course suits him. It's I don't know. I'm pretty sure he ran there last year and he just didn't look too
In the
good.
second.
At Sonoma?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Am I getting my races mixed up?
Behind Bell.
Yep, he finished behind Bell, and then he got
Well,
knocked
that's
out of the
third
way by
then.
Busher at Watkins Glen.
Yep.
If he finished behind Bell, he finished third then because Larson won.
Or third, yeah. Sorry.
That's why I was like
So,
confused for a second.
all right. Well, now we're back to basically Big Brother Bristol, Dover. Who takes Dover?
Denny Hamlin.
You think Hamlin's going to take Dover? All right.
That's his first win of the season for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Try
think.
to find him on my list here. Hamlin, Blake, Dover. All right. What about you, Chris?
Even though I think he'll have a few good runs earlier in the year, this is going to be Elliott's first win.
Okay.
On my
He's
list.
won there before. No reason to say he can't.
Yep.
Yeah, he won the first next gen race there.
this is my first pick for Bell. I think Dover, the JGR cars tend to run well there. Just it's kind of like Bristol but faster, and he runs well at Bristol. He runs well at the bigger high bank tracks like that. So just a feeling. His crew chief seems to be able to get his car to ride just like perfectly every time for some reason at some of these tracks. So I think that's where Bell will get his first win. And then we go to Indianapolis. Who's going to win that? Larson?
Yeah, I didn't take him at Pocono, but I definitely took him at Larson, or took him at Indy. Took Larson.
They changed the track name to Larson because he's so good there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's that 42 magic that Juan Pablo, stepped on his dick a couple times and should have won it, and then
So
Larson a little bit,
where he
and
learned it.
all kind of bottled up.
I swear on my wife and children, I did not speed. That race still haunts me, guys.
Are you taking Larson at Indy, Blake?
I want to, but I know I just took him, but I think Denny Hamlin wants that win so bad that this might be the last year he has a chance. And
Okay.
I think he's gonna go back to back Dover Indy. He'll get his final crown jewel.
See, I have Larson getting two crown jewels this year with the 600 and
Trust me, I think
Indy.
he can win, but
you have him getting three with the 500, the Southern 500, and the 600.
Southern 500 ain't happened yet on our schedule.
All right, yeah, sorry, that's coming. But I mean, you basically have him with the Mother's Day race, followed by I'm sure you'll have him winning the fall race too. But all right, we're going back to the cornfields of Iowa. What are we thinking?
It's hard to go against Larson. As good as he was before he stepped on it. Well, I still think that the 99 was acting a fool, but
yeah,
Larson had everybody just spanked. If they bring a setup anywhere close to that back, I don't think anybody can beat him.
What about you?
What is that, my 8th win for him now?
Mr. Barry? Yeah, you've got to win in half the season, so I mean that's okay.
I don't.
If he capitalizes on half of what Blake gives him, he's going to go down in like that 100-win record club by the time the year's over.
Well, he can obviously win at every track.
I mean, he's shown it. If it like Cliff said, if we don't step on our dick and beat ourselves, nobody can beat us. So if he could
you two okay with that
money and wrap it around his shoulder, he'll be all right. Sorry,
they need to redesign his Hans device there.
Yep, have a little cushion.
Who do you guys have?
I had Chastain winning this one.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Iowa for Chastain. All right.
Who you got, Alan?
I'm going with Austin Dillon. The way he ran at Richmond, Richmond and Iowa look a lot alike. I think Austin Dillon's going to take Iowa.
Well, Iowa was designed by Rusty Wallace,
who loves Richmond.
And it's just a bigger Richmond is what it is.
Yep. And it seemed like they found something after. He had the field freaking covered at Richmond. So I think Austin Dillon's going to win Iowa.
Nice.
And get in the championship in the playoffs without having to run somebody over this year.
Is he going to actually do it fair?
Yeah, he's going to do it fair. He's just going to do it straight up. All right, so that brings us to Watkins Glen. Does SVG get it done this time, or does Christopher Buescher seal the deal again, or somebody else?
I hate to say this, William Byron.
I think Byron. All right.
I despise him, but he is really good there, and I think he'll get his first win of the season for me.
Okay. I'm gonna give it to Austin Cindric. He's a good road racer.
Yeah.
And Penske's had some good cars there.
He's a good road racer, but he hasn't shown it.
Well, everybody's got their chance. I think this is going to be.
He hasn't shown any speed on a road course since he was running the 33 car and random races. And he'd run up front for 20 laps, and then he was like, "Oh, I don't have any talent left. I draw off the course."
You sure you got the right Austin? We're talking Cindric, not
Yes,
the other
I
one,
know.
not the corn fed dude.
I bet you, I bet you, Austin Dillon has a better average finish since Cindric has started than Cindric.
I guess we'll find out. But I'm gonna say Austin Cindric wins the Glen.
All right.
What about you, Chris?
I'm going with SVG on the third win. And the only
Okay.
reason I'm saying that, even with Sonoma, him going back to back Chicago, Sonoma, and then again at Watkins Glen, is because I think from how well he's run the last 2 years, he will be in a little better equipment this year than he has been the last 2
A
years.
lot better equipment.
Yep. Okay.
Well, the first win was in the same equipment he's getting into, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But last year's equipment was not up to snuff, and he almost won the Glen. So I can definitely get on board with that.
Yeah.
All right. We're 2 from the cutoff. What about Richmond?
I got Bell coming back at Richmond again.
All right. Chris says Bell's going to win
Who
Richmond.
you got?
I'm thinking Austin Dillon gets it done the right way this time.
Oh, wow. So we haven't talked about this. Are they going to do 2 different sets of tires a lot this coming year, do you think? The option and the
I don't
primes?
think they're going to. I think what they found with the softer tire that they liked. I think they're just going to go that direction and keep it that way.
Well, so the reason I'm asking is because the way Austin Dillon got up there was through the strategy of the prime and options.
Yeah.
He did start 8th, but he stayed up there due to the strategy of the options and primes.
Okay.
I believe that if it was just one type of tire, they don't do that.
All right.
So I'm going with this guy's getting the second win for me of the year. It's going to be Chase Briscoe
All right. He's going to wait all the way to Richmond to win, huh? All right.
for the second time. He won Phoenix for me earlier.
All right. You give me yours, Chris? Yeah, you did. You said
Bell.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we're in the untraditional Daytona race because everybody's got there's so many people that need to make it to win and so much craziness. Who's going to win Daytona?
Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch is going to win Daytona. All right. For the cutoff.
He hasn't won yet for me. He's not going to go back-to-back years without. He's already going to be in the playoffs due to running well, in my opinion. But he'll win Daytona to submit it.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Well, that's why I put Busch in at Atlanta. I think he's going to run better at Atlanta with the handling coming in. And I went with Buescher at Daytona. So it'll be back-to-back RFK 500 and end of the season.
I'm going to say Ricky Reckhouse.
That's not a bad choice.
He's a good plate racer. He won't have gotten anything done yet to get there, and he seems to step it up at Daytona, especially when it matters most. If he doesn't get wrecked or cause the wreck that takes himself out, I think you're going to have a hard time beating him.
For those viewers that are new to racing, his name's not really Reckhouse.
It's Stenhouse.
It's Spinhouse.
Ricky Spinhouse, Ricky Reckhouse, whatever you want to call him. Sticky Reckhouse.
I thought it was Ricky Spinhouse.
Ricky Spinhouse.
Oh, I knew I had it close.
Ricky Spinhouse. All right. So now we're heading into playoff territory. We start out with the Southern 500. Who opens with a win? Hung Money gonna step on his dick again, or is he gonna win this time?
We didn't step on it. He kind of just skimmed it last
He
fall.
just dragged it on the ground a little bit. He just gave it like a little road burn.
Thumped it on the wall a couple times.
Yeah,
everything looked like roast beef. He ran it over so bad. First round.
What did he lead? He led over half the race last fall, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I have him winning the spring race. I don't see any reason why. I mean, I'm gonna pick Larson, but Briscoe's gonna be on his tail just like last year, and Ty Gibbs is going to be up there as well.
All right. What about you, Chris? I'm
I
going
got,
Larson. I think they
yeah,
don't make the same mistakes this coming year that they
I
made.
don't either. We went across the board on that one.
Okay. So that gives Chris having Larson and you having Larson clean sweep Darlington for the year. I gave it to Hamlin, so I'm the contrarian there. All right,
You ruined our sweep.
I know. All right, Gateway. I'm thinking Bell.
Mm,
Did
I
he win this past year at Gateway? Who won Gateway last year?
I don't remember.
Oh, Cedric, because Ryan
Cindric
Blaney,
won.
I guess.
Yep.
Uh,
But
I'm
this
going to
year,
go
but
with.
this year, instead of it being in the summer, it's actually in the fall. It'll still be
It's in the
hot
fall.
in
Well,
the
it's going to be
playoffs.
hotter. It's going to be hotter the
Yep.
date it has here than it would have went
Yep.
earlier because in September it's just boiling
Yep.
in the Midwest. So um, I think that it could. I think it could be Kyle Busch because of how well he's ran there in the past. And he did
Okay.
win inaugural.
All right.
Um, but that's not who I'm picking.
Okay. Who are
I'm,
you going
I'm
with?
picking Logano.
All right. So you think Logano's going to win Gateway? All right. What about you, Chris?
Even though it took till later in the season for him to show up for me at Iowa, I'm going to go again at Worldwide Technology with Chastain.
All
I
right.
It's
think,
a worldwide technology sponsorship.
Yep.
yeah,
All right. All right.
but I think a lot of that's going to play on the fact I do think I think Suarez is going to be hard to beat in Mexico, and I think it's going to give if you can get Suarez and SVG and Chastain all in victory lane before the chase. I think it's going to make it's going to put light a little fire under Chastain's ass that seems to have kind of fallen off the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ever
And I think
since
with
Mr.
SVG
H
there to
stopped
help on the
showing.
road courses, like I think Trackhouse has a lot to gain this year.
Oh yeah,
All right. So then we're in Bristol Fall. Hot. Tires going to react differently. What do we think?
I think Ty Gibbs sweeps Bristol.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
On to the
Would not
round
have
of.
I would not have seen that.
Yep. My viewpoint is he's got to do something this year. I mean, it's year three. Everybody thought he'd win year one with the way he dominated the Xfinity Series, and he hasn't. I mean, I had him last year in the pool that Chris is in, and I spent was it 12 times 32 for picking him every week to try to win a race, and it didn't ever pan out for me. But I just think he'll win 2 to 3 races this year.
that was only $260, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
See? I think Larson's going to
I
win
did that
because he
because
spanked him.
Chris is a mathematician.
I think Larson's going to win it because he spanked him in the fall. It wasn't even a contest. And if he doesn't win it, it'll be Hamlin.
I just think they're going to keep working on that tire. I do, think that he can obviously win there, but I think the tire change is going to help. Ty Gibbs should probably land on it.
What about you? It's the first cutoff race. What do you think, Chris?
For
Also,
me,
Gibbs has that new crew chief.
I think even with a new crew chief, not the new crew chief that you're talking about, I'm gonna be like Blake and I'm gonna go back to back with the same driver on that being Hamlin,
All right.
taking both Bristol races.
Yep. Cool.
As much as I'd
I
rather
almost
see,
went there. I feel like he's going to be strong there again, but I mean, he was close to catching Larson at the end there last year for a little while. He was
yeah,
the only one who was actually making ground and closing. He just never could get quite back to where he needed to be.
He couldn't make up the 8 seconds between.
Yep. So, all right, and we start off round two at Loudon. We're back at Loudon's back in the playoffs in New Hampshire. Hamlin's run well there before. Kyle Busch has run well there. Hard not to pick a Gibbs car there. Bell, maybe. What are y'all thinking?
You just answered mine.
Okay, so you're thinking Bell?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's kind of what the direction I was leaning as well.
He's so tough on flat tracks. It's crazy.
Yep. You going there too, Blake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was an easy one. All right.
Move on.
Kansas 2. Any reason to think Larson doesn't come in and take that? Or is it going to be Blaney?
I'll let you two answer first on this one.
Oh, he's got a surprise winner here. That's what he's doing here.
I think this one's going to be Reddick, just to be clear.
Okay.
Just for the wall, because Kansas has turned into a wall riding track a lot, but it's going to be hot now. So I think he's gonna just be a hair better than Larson, but not by much.
That's race. Was it race?
That's race
30,
2 in
31.
the round of 2.
Race 30 or 31.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take him all year, but Bubba Wallace.
Okay.
That's one of his better tracks. They ran like crap there last fall, but I think he'll get it.
All right.
He'll be a non-playoff driver winning.
What about you, Chris?
And then I'm actually going to do like I did earlier. I'm going to have my Kansas and Roval winner back to back be Larson.
All right.
To finish out that round 12.
I don't think Blake will complain about that.
No, and I think just I think you're definitely going to be strong with Reddick for sure. I mean, absolutely. I see the potential with Bubba running well there, but I think Larson just with the momentum they should carry through the entire season. I think Larson's got the upper hand when it comes to the mile and a half, even for the speed that Reddick will have. And then Larson, I mean, how do you go against him at the Roval? I think even with SVG being in a little better equipment, he ran 13th there last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the only race that I think there was a couple races that him and Allmendinger ran in, and that was the only one that Allmendinger outran him. And I think that was only by 1 or 2 spots. I don't see
made a prediction for the Roval
13 instead of the 16, I believe.
What's that?
Race. Allmendinger was in a part-time car as well.
That's true. He wasn't in the full-time normal ride. He was in a third car for them.
Yeah.
I'm going with Larson at the Roval as well. I don't see any reason not to think he's not going to just do what he did last year and just check out.
Yep.
You think the same thing, Blake?
Yeah.
All right. That gives Larson, 1,100 wins for Blake.
I haven't picked him as much as y'all thought I would. I can guarantee that.
It's hard not to.
It's right. I can go down the schedule and give you a reason why you could win every damn one of them except for plate tracks.
All right. So Vegas 2, we're into the round of 3. Who checks it off first?
You're wearing the wrong hat there, Blake. If you're going for 1,100 wins, you should have been wearing that 1,100 hat.
That car's back here somewhere.
Yeah. So who's going to win there? Who's going to lock
Chris
into the final
went back
first?
to back with Kansas Roval. I'm going back to back Roval Vegas.
All right. So you think Larson's going to be the first guy to lock?
He didn't win the spring race because Bell took it, but he's going to get it. He's going to get his Vegas mojo back and win the fall race and get himself into the round of 4.
All right. I'm in agreement. I don't see any reason not to see that happen. What about you? You've already got him. Who are you thinking for?
He got 2P. You gonna do 3 in a row?
Nope. I think Reddick will get him on this one.
Okay. All right.
As much as I know I'm probably going to be at that race, and I'd love to see him win another one in person, but I think Reddick will take it this time.
Almost said Kansas. It's Vegas too.
Talladega next.
Oh, all right, Talladega. I think this is one that's going to get won by somebody who's not already in the playoffs.
I don't agree.
I just think so many people are going to, I mean, you've seen the strategies play out both ways. So it's hard to pick, do you be aggressive or do you be cautious? because we've seen these cars, unless they do something
Cautiously
drastic to
aggressive.
fix it, they don't pass. So, who you think is going to win, Dega, Blake?
Uh,
I'm going to say
Probably.
Keselowski.
I haven't picked him all year, but I'll use Busher.
All right, so you think Buscher's going to win Dega? So no, you have used him. You used him for Dega earlier too.
Did I?
Yep. So you have Buscher sweeping Dega. So
No.
do I.
But
Or no,
I
I have
have
Brad's. I have RFK sweeping Dega, but I have Brad winning the fall and Buscher winning the spring. Chris has RFK sweeping Daytona between the spring and the fall
but I had Busher at Talladega as well.
for the second race or the first.
Nope,
Sorry.
the first.
How did I miss that? Probably typed in a name somewhere. Who's going to win in the fall for you then, Chris?
On this one, I actually had two picks here because I had a little bit of like what you were saying. I think we have the potential to see someone that's not already in the chase. And I honestly think just with the way he's been running, we have the potential to see Hocevar in victory lane at Talladega this year. But I think overall, I think Brad actually gets RFK that other step. Not necessarily the championship, but I think this locks him in the final four.
Okay. That's a good pick. All right.
I mean, other than Dale Earnhardt Jr.,
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski's got the most wins at Talladega.
Yeah, he's got 6.
Yep.
6 or 7.
6.
All
Yeah,
right.
Junior doesn't want him to win anymore because he's coming up on Daddy's records.
Yeah.
All right. Who's going to win Martinsville? I don't see a reason why Blaney won't win it for a third year straight.
That's who I got.
What about
I have
you?
agreement. I mean, he's so damn tough there.
I actually give the upper hand to Larson on this one this time.
Okay.
Okay, so you think
Even though I
Larson's
think
gonna win it. Okay.
even though I think with winning the last 2 races of the round right before this, I think he probably would have had no problem pointing his way in, but he'll win Martinsville to guarantee that final four.
He'll have 1,100 bonus points. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yep, he's gonna have all the bonus
we thought
points, the
this year,
season
right?
championship. He'll have all the Winston Cups too, just for fun. So I mean, he's gonna have them all.
He'll
He's
buy
gonna
him
have
for
all the
every
Mark Martin
19.
trophies that never got finished. You know, he's gonna have
Yeah.
them all. All right. So then, who's gonna win Phoenix, and will they be our champion?
I don't have him even winning in the playoffs. I don't necessarily know he'll be the final four, but I think we see Blaney back in victory lane in Phoenix.
I agree.
That's right, because you don't have them winning the final round. So
No, I mean I don't necessarily. I think Blaney barely misses the final four, but he still wins Phoenix.
I don't think he'll hold if he's not in the final four. I don't think he'll be as aggressive as if he was, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think he'll be in the final 4. So that's why I'm saying he's gonna win it.
Right.
I think he's going to win. He's going to do what he almost did last year and what he did the year before. I mean, he's got those 2 figured out. And unless they do something drastically different to those tracks or that tire, I think you can all but etch his name on the trophies. And HMS said they spent a year on Phoenix and they gained nothing. So I
They
can't
gained a
Chevy
little
an
bit.
HMS guy.
They finished top 5. 2 cars.
Yeah, but how far back? They couldn't even see that. They couldn't even read the letters on the back of those cars.
They were dots in the. They were in the front. They were in the front windshield. They were just.
They're like, I think that yellow dot's Blaney, and that yellow dot's. Which one of those is Blaney? Which one of those is looking?
I have Larson win the championship, but not the race.
So
the race is
who's
going
winning
to
Phoenix then?
Carson Hocevar.
You think Hocevar is going to win Phoenix too? All right.
He ran very good this past fall.
That's a good pick.
He's got another year under his belt. I didn't have him winning throughout the year, I don't believe, but he, except for like the All-Star Open, but I believe he gets his first win in the last race of the season of his sophomore year.
Okay. Well, that's our schedule and our picks. I have to get
So,
dinner because I have company. So we'll have
yeah,
to get into part two later if y'all want to get into who got how many wins and everything. If that works for y'all, we can set that up either later this evening or tomorrow. What's your preference?
I got a party that I'm going to go to for a little bit for a buddy that I got that's sick at
You know,
work.
I
So,
forget it is New Year's Eve. Yeah. So
yeah.
we can
yeah,
just do that. We can pick up where we left off tomorrow. But the good part is we don't have any time limits now. So we've been going for like an hour and a half. So that's the good part.
yeah, I love that.
So I'll
How much time
transcribe
we got? How
this
much time we got?
and then we'll get into what how many wins and how we think that'll unfold in part two.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, this was enjoyable, guys.
Very enjoyable.
That was good. Finally talking to you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to the group. We'll definitely fold you in for some more.
Thank you.
All right.
Got to get you to call in a
Good
little
to put a
bit.
face with the name and everything. And we'll definitely get into some more here in the future. But I'm going to go have dinner before my wife leaves me and divorces me and kills me.
We all know that ain't happening.
So, all right. Until part two. Talk to you guys later.
All right. See you.
See you guys.
Have a good one, guys.